What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to be speaking about some nice aspects for dating. So some amazing aspects to have that show and reveal dating potential between two people in SYNASTRY. And with these are going to be mostly house overlays between two people. And when it comes to house overlays, this is when somebody's planets are falling into somebody's houses in a birth chart, which is going to light up a certain area within that birth chart in the person whose house it's falling in is life. So here are some house overlays when it comes to dating that can make dating feel very promising, can make it feel very magical to experience with someone. So when it comes to the fifth house is definitely a house all about fun. It's also all about romance. So having somebody's planets coming into someone's fifth house is also one of the overlays that's going to show a very magical and romantic and even magnetic kind of experience in dating between two people that feels great. So for this fifth house overlay, when it comes to having someone's personal planets like their sun or their moon or even their Venus or even their Mars coming into someone's fifth house, this is going to show a dynamic where the dating life is going to feel very playful, passionate, and it's also going to have a lot of romantic energy as well. When it comes to having these personal planets coming into someone's fifth house, this is going to create that kind of a dynamic that does feel like two people wanting to be able to actually be able to experience a lot of fun and a lot of creative energy between the two of them and wanting to be able to share in a lot of joy with each other. And this can make it so that when it comes to being able to spend time together, it can be very pleasant and it can be very joyful, and it can also be very light-hearted and fun, yet still carry the spark of passion between the two of them. And when it comes to having the personal planets coming into someone's fifth house, this is especially really great for a honeymoon stage between two people, and it feels like a honeymoon stage. Take for instance, if your Venus is coming into someone's fifth house, that Venus person is really going to make the fifth house person feel like they are the star of the show. They're going to make them feel very seen and also very showered with affection, feeling like a whirlwind of fun and most likely also a lot of dates. The next house is the seventh house. The seventh house is the house of partnerships, and when it comes to the seventh house, it represents not only partnerships but also long-term commitments. And when it comes to having somebody's planets, especially their personal planets like the sun, the moon, Venus, even Mars, coming into your seventh house, this can be very great for a dating relationship. Because when it comes to these planets landing over here in your partner's birth charts, it's going to feel like a natural match between yourself and that person. And when it comes to dating with overlays in the seventh house, they do feel the sense of feeling like the person is relationship material, and they feel that very early on, right from the start. And between the seventh house person and the planet person involved, they're going to also experience a very balanced kind of connection, and they can be this really strong sense of having mutual understanding between the two of them. And they're most likely going to take part in things like having conversations about the future. And it's going to feel like it happens naturally, but it's also very exciting to be able to actually take part in those kind of things like having conversations about the future and a future together. Like take for instance, if you have your sun coming into your partner's seventh house, this can really bring out that feeling of feeling like you have met the one. Somebody's matching your ideal partner. That's why seventh house overlays can be really great for dating as well between two people. And the next house to look out for is the first house. When it comes to the first house, this is the house of self. So when it comes to having somebody's planets coming into your first house, this can really be great when it comes to being able to connect with someone from an authentic place. Since the first house is really your identity and how you kind of present yourself to the world, having somebody's planets coming into the first house, especially if it's Venus or Mars, they can be really great for chemistry between two people. Because in this case, people are going to feel the sense of being immediately drawn to not only your physical appearance but also your personality and your essence with the planets coming into this first house. And because of that spark of attraction, the house person, the first house person, is going to feel the sense of being seen and being appreciated for who they are without having to try too hard and without having to hide anything about themselves, because the attraction is going to be based on who they are. And that's going to make them feel seen. It's going to make them feel appreciated for who they truly are. And for the first house person, as well as the planet person in this case, they're going to feel a natural kind of a connection where they feel like they are, especially the first house person, they're going to feel like that planet person is captivated by them. And the connection can feel very natural between the two of them. Like, take for instance, if somebody's Mars is coming into your first house, they're going to be quite attracted to that first house person in a way that's going to also give them this push to want to be able to either pursue or make a move towards the first house person without any hesitation. Because with having someone's Mars in your first house, this can be an irresistible kind of attraction that the Mars person feels towards the first house person. And another house that's great for dating is definitely the 11th house. So this is the house of friendship, it's the house of community. And when it comes to having somebody's planets falling into your 11th house, this can also be a great overlay to share with someone, since the 11th house does govern things like friendship and shared dreams. When it comes to having somebody's planets, especially their personal planets falling into your 11th house, this does also show a connection that's starting out from a place of having shared goals and also a sense of teamwork. And there's a sense of camaraderie between the 11th house person and the planet person. And generally when it comes to having the 11th house overlay with someone in dating, it can feel like having a best friend and also being able to have somebody who shares in your vision for the future and being able to kind of build something meaningful together and growing in ways that are based on a shared vision of life. So generally, when it comes to having somebody's planets coming into your 11th house in dating, this does show a sense of being able to grow and be able to actually experience growing together in a steady pace and also organically when it comes to that connection that they are forming with each other. And when it comes to planets coming in here, it can even be planets like Mercury. Those are going to show that you're going to have very deep, meaningful, insightful conversations with each other about the future, about shared goals, and even about shared interests between the two of them. They're going to have some pretty deep and inspiring conversations about their dreams, which they can bond over. And having the 11th house being an overlay that's activated does also show that they likely have a lot of shared interests as well. And so it can be very enjoyable when it comes to being able to actually share in a lot of those with each other. And finally, another great house to share in overlays with someone when it comes to dating is definitely the 8th house, because this is the house of transformation. It's also the house all about intimacy between two people. It can really deepen a connection for two people, because the 8th house is all about the deep emotional bond and then just being able to share in deep intimacy between two people. So having this house activated between two people in dating, it's going to show a relationship with a lot of transformative potential, as well as the potential to be able to have a connection with somebody where there's a deep feeling of being connected to someone. It can also feel a bit intense, but it can also be a good thing for a relationship between two people. Because between the 8th house person and planet person, they're going to have a deep emotional bond with each other. But not only that, they're also going to be able to feel like they're going to have a more vulnerable way of connecting to each other. It's just going to make them feel deeply understood by each other. It's also going to feel like a connection that is not like any other. There is something about it that stands out, especially because of how it's making them feel. Whether that's the emotional connection or the physical connection, with the 8th house is going to go much deeper, which, even though at times it does have the potential to be challenging, it can also be very exciting and very exhilarating. Like, take for example, having somebody's moon coming into your 8th house. This is going to also point to a relationship between two people with a lot of emotional depth. And for the moon person and the 8th house person, even though that emotional depth can also at times feel a bit all-consuming for them, it can also feel like having somebody who's able to see right into your soul. Which is why when it comes to the eighth house, it can feel vulnerable, but it can also feel like there's this deep sense of understanding someone and understanding them deeply. So those are the house overlays in synastry, and these can be really great for being able to show what happens when a relationship is activating different areas of birth charts. But when it comes to the house overlays, they're not necessarily going to guarantee long-term compatibility, but they are going to show and explain why some connections just feel very unforgettable and even very dynamic or magical between two people. When it comes to these 5 overlays, they can show a dating relationship between two people that can feel very dynamic, can feel very engaging, can even feel very fun and rewarding. And even though ultimately it's how you connect and communicate with another person that is going to be the deciding factor, these are some synastry aspects that can show potential, especially in the dating phase. Well, that does it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and that you found it helpful. And if you did, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos. Well, that is where I love and leave you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye guys.